Our top story. So the coronation celebration is over here in Britain, but the cost of living crisis is not. Millions of Britons are still struggling with high energy and food bills. Well, a new report shows around 700,000 UK households missed or defaulted on a rent or mortgage payment last month. Well, the report by consumer choice think tank, The Which, comes at a time when the Bank of England is expected to increase the cost of borrowing for households and businesses for the 12th time. Well, the report, it suggests that missed housing payments is particularly high among tenants, while adding that every 1 in 20 tenants is affected. Well, the consumer choice body also said that in April, an estimated 2 million households have missed or defaulted on at least one mortgage, rent, loan, credit card, or bill payment. Well, the most common type of missed payment are bills. These include energy bills and council tax. Well, the latest figure is lower than the figure released in March, when an estimated 2.5 million households missed or defaulted on a payment. The consumer body has urged businesses in essential sectors such as food and energy to help customers avoid unnecessary or unfair costs. Well, for more, I'm joined by my guest today, who is Jonathan Liz, a Deputy Director of the think tank, British Influence, and a journalist as well. Good day to Jonathan. It is really tough times for many families here in Britain right now, isn't it?
Yes, it is. I mean, this has been going on for a long time now. Obviously, it's been exacerbated by COVID and the war in Ukraine. And of course, Brexit has meant that Britain is in a weaker economic position than many of its neighbours. And Britain is struggling, along with many other countries, it's struggling particularly badly. We have a very high level of inflation, a very high level of stagnation in the economy, with sort of productivity flatlining, shrinking wages, the lowest wage rise in 200 years, according to some figures. And people are really feeling the pinch, in their energy bills, in their shopping, their groceries, and in all walks of their life. And that is obviously, again, why so many public sector workers have gone on strike, because they are facing wage cuts. And so the report that you're talking about simply illustrates some of the effects of that.
Yeah, it's a vicious spiral situation we've got here in Britain right now, because you just mentioned the strikes, and rightly so, and that's been exacerbated by inflation, something that is impacting much of Europe, indeed the world as well. Here in Britain, you mentioned a few factors there. Of course, Brexit's something that we don't always talk about, but that is having an impact. That's undoubtable. But the interesting part of all of this is that the energy companies, and it's energy bills that are really a problem for many households, they're actually making huge, enormous profits. What more can be done to help this situation? Is it just inflation, Brexit, we're stuck with these scenarios, or can more be done to support people who are really on the breadline right now?
Well, more can always be done. Obviously, the government has introduced various schemes to help people with their energy bills, but it's not nearly enough. And the opposition and commentators have obviously been calling for more windfall taxes on energy companies, which are making huge profits, unprecedented profits, through no hard work of their own, simply through external market factors. The government has announced a limited windfall tax, but that really is just the tip of the iceberg, and there needs to be sort of wholesale reform. And of course, going forward, there also need to be real conversations about public ownership of utilities as well. But those are sort of conversations that will happen in the medium and long term. But in the short term, obviously, the most important thing is getting money into people's pockets, and that is not happening right now. And we see that as well in massive use of food banks and people simply not having the daily essentials for life.
Yeah, quite right. And it's people using those food banks now that have full-time jobs. They're working, Monday to Friday, long days, and they're still going to food banks. What do you think you would like to see from the government? Do you think more support is necessary?
Absolutely, more support is necessary. There are all kinds of measures you can do. Obviously, like I was saying, you can obviously get more money into the exchequer. You can sort of tax big businesses more. Obviously, pay rises are very important as well. The idea that pay rises fuel inflation is sort of a discredited theory from the 1970s. I don't think that's actually true. So obviously, giving the poorest paid more support is very important through the benefit system as well, through tax credits. There are all kinds of things the government can do to help. The fact they're not doing so is a political choice because there is always money when the government needs it. And now would be a good time to demonstrate that.
Yeah, really interesting, as you say, a political choice there. And of course, the pay rises would help the strike situation here as well. Jonathan Liss, thank you so much for that. We really appreciate your views and your expertise on the topic.
Thank you.